It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
Welcome to rAVe TV, the industry's only live weekly TV show that kind of covers everything going on in the industry. And we have, in addition to me and Steph, we have our buddy Tim Albright on today. How are you doing, Tim?
I am well. How are you?
Doing well. Well, where are you? You in your home office?
I'm in the home office today. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Steph's in the studio. I'm here at my office. How's it going, Steph?
Good. It feels like it's been such a long time since last week, but I think it was because last week was launch week.
Yeah. And then you got NAB coming up next week, right?
Yes, NAB, Tim and I will both be there, which we're both looking forward to. That was a really good show last year. I was surprised. I don't know why I was surprised because I'd heard it was such a big show, but I was surprised with how much was relevant to us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the show has kind of gone in and out of relevance to Pro AV for a while. I mean, back 20 years ago, it was a big show for Pro AV. And it was even becoming somewhat of a consumer AV show, you may remember, Tim, way back when. But now, and then it kind of went its way. It went into porn. It went into radio. It went into, Sirius XM. And then it went to strictly back to broadcast. And now it seems to be that a lot of broadcast companies are going into, coming back into the Pro AV market.
They are, and you'll see a lot. I mean, Steph and I both saw this, and we both went by various booths that we'll still visit those same companies in June at InfoComm, right? And that's an interesting crossover.
Exactly.
I would say it's still somewhat of a consumer-y show, though, because part of NAB is very focused on creators and creators from the consumer level. So Twitch streamers, YouTubers, a lot of the tech there is made so that you can create on the go. So a lot of it is like a light kit that's small enough to bring in your purse, or a quick rig that you can set up for your iPhone. There's a lot of accessories and stuff like that too. So I would say it's still somewhat consumery, but I would say this is what I consider to be prosumer, where it's making the consumer look more professional with the tech that they're using to stream or whatever.
We really got. I mean, Steph and I both get press releases and gotten several from companies like the DJIs of the world and their main competitors, where it's these, like you said, compact all-in-one 4K cameras that follow the drones with cameras, all the things that helps the content creators up their game.
Yeah, absolutely. Gary, give us a moon update. What's going on in the stars?
Well, the astronauts are back.
Yes.
And they are safe. It was pretty awesome, actually. I don't know if you had a chance to watch. It's the first time we've ever seen a rocket on reentry from the viewpoint of the rocket. That was really cool to see the rocket, the capsule basically encapsulated in fire, because it gets to, I think I want to say 4,700 degrees when it re-enters the atmosphere, and what's happening is the tiles that are in and around those that keep the capsule cooled are intentionally made to burn off as it enters in, so that dissipates the heat because it's burning it off, sort of like almost like covering your grill with with some kind of coating, and when the coating burns off, you have this nice clean grill, right? And that's the idea behind it. And yeah, it splashed down last Friday, so not even a week ago, and it was a perfect mission. So Artemis 3, which will be later this year or first of next year, depending on timing, it'll be one of the two. They're ahead of schedule. Will be where we send up the same kind of rocket, except they won't go to the moon. They'll go into outer space, right? So they'll go about halfway, and then they'll practice docking with the SpaceX rocket and the Blue Origin rocket. And depending on how those dockings go, NASA will then pick which one of those two companies builds the rocket that'll dock once the spaceship is taken off, and then propel it to land on the moon, because it'll do an interstellar docking and then land on the moon. So Tim, you remember if you've seen images of like the Apollo missions, there's this like little contraption looking thing that looks kind of frail that is still left on the moon, right? And that the capsule blasted off from that because there's not much gravity. It's easy to do. But this time when we land on the moon, we're going to land with a full-on rocket. So the thing will dock to a rocket. The rocket will land. You've seen videos of SpaceX and how they've figured out how to land rockets that take off rather than having them drop into the ocean. This rocket will land on moon. And the idea behind that is practice that. And then that will allow us to shoot a rocket from the moon to Mars a lot easier with a lot less fuel. And we'll be able to fuel it on the moon because we've actually found water on the moon, right? So you separate liquid, hydrogen from oxygen. You can use the hydrogen for rocket fuel and use the rest of it as water to drink. And we could go to the Mars from the moon. That's the idea. So Artemis 4, after practicing the docking, will be the first group of astronauts that land on the moon. And then we'll do 16 missions, manned missions over the next 5 years after that. So we'll have people on the moon in 2028, and then we'll have 16 missions where we'll have sent up 4 astronauts. So there'll be a lot of people up there in the moon on and off over the course of the next 10 years. So it'll happen between mostly 2030 and 2034.
That is so.
Would you go to the moon?
I would love to have. When I was a kid, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an astronaut. Absolutely. The problem is I can't get in an elevator if the door closes. So I'm very claustrophobic. And
kind of eliminates that there.
Once I realized I was claustrophobic, my days of being an astronaut were over. So,
yeah, as somebody who grew up with the space system that we had in the 70s and the 80s, this is crazy, right? Because we grew up with, we're going to the Mars, soon, and the fact that we're going back to the moon and the whole premise of that is actually getting to Mars is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's about time we kind of get back to it. I mean, the thing about this is what this is doing. I'm going to use an analogy. Swimming and soccer and track and field are 3 sports that nobody cares about except for 2 weeks or 3 weeks every 4 years. And during those 2 or 3 weeks every 4 years, everyone knows everything about them. Like the 1 week they show swimming during the Olympics, everyone's pulling for swimming and they know the swimmers by name. And the other 3 years and 51 weeks a year, 51 weeks, they don't know anything about swimming or anything going on with swimming, right? So this is that moment for NASA. Like no one's paying attention to NASA. And if NASA stays in the news, what will happen is a bunch of kids growing up who watched this, all the schools had them watch it live on TV, are all of a sudden going to become interested in becoming astronauts and interested in science again and interested in, interstellar travel. And this will spark a movement. And if you do it not just once a year, but you do it constantly, it'll spark a big movement. And those people end up starting companies that end up having big ideas. When we were kids, Tim, the only companies that could do this were government companies, but now private companies can do it. Blue Origin is an Amazon-funded company, and SpaceX is Elon Musk's company, Tesla-funded company. So, these are private entities. You also have Virgin has a whole division that's doing it. Boeing's is a disaster, as you know. They shot astronauts off to the space station, and they were supposed to come back in 4 days, and they came back 4 months later because they couldn't get them back safely, and they ended up having to come back in a Russian rocket to get them back safely. So the Boeing aircraft came back by itself without people on it. Okay. So Boeing's got a long way to go, but I think that it's really exciting for people who are into this kind of thing. And I think people who aren't even into it, you're going to learn a lot. I mean, like there's a lot we can learn from things out there that have been out in space for millions of years that we can gather information from by actually having the ability to analyze them physically.
The one thing is the space program is more than just about going to the moon and going to Mars, because a lot of the technology that's developed to make that happen, we eventually see, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Just start with the computers, for crying out loud, and all the other technology that we've all gained from that system.
Yeah, I mean, and the cameras, the camera that they had to have special built cameras that could handle the heat of re-entry that were on the outside of that, like testing that for extreme conditions brings a whole new market. And the pressure that's up in space to have a camera work. Interestingly enough, the most iconic image from the entire trip, which is the one where you're seeing Earth rise from the capsule. So the shot was taken inside the capsule, so you can see the window of the capsule, and you've probably seen it, the surface of the moon. You can see clearly the surface of the moon, and then the Earth is rising behind it. That was taken with an iPhone 17 Pro. So yeah, that's a great ad for an iPhone, for the iPhone, right? And it's Apple's going to eat this up, right? I mean,
Absolutely. Why wouldn't
NASA
they?
tested all the phones and decided that Apple's was the most reliable. And the other thing that happened that's kind of interesting, there's a direct quote from the mission commander. This is Commander Reed, the guy who's in charge of and he's got an amazing story too. He's a single dad. His wife died of cancer last year. They named a crater after his wife. He has a great quote that they're shooting off. They're heading to the moon. And they ask him from Houston, open up your email. And his quote is, I have 2 versions of Microsoft Outlook and neither one of them are working. Like you could not get a better ad for any other email program than that. That was literally a quote. I have 2 versions of Microsoft Outlook and neither one are working.
Oh, no.
Even in space, even NASA's version of Outlook doesn't work. So for all of you that have problems with Outlook, if NASA can't get it to work, it should make you feel good that you can't get it to work.
Exactly.
This is why I was telling Jimmy Vaughn last week that you hate Microsoft too.
Yeah.
Jimmy Vaughn and I went on AV Week on Friday, and Jimmy was talking about something. I was like, yeah, well, Tim actually told me he hates y'all's company.
There are versions, there are aspects, departments within Microsoft I enjoy. I still enjoy my Xbox, so.
Which I think
Wait,
they're
do they still-
discontinuing.
Oh, don't do that to me. Don't. No,
I was
don't
like,
do
do they
that.
make that anymore?
I think
Don't
they
do
are.
that. Aye.
You guys, I remember the first Xbox in 2003. My dad had just gotten home from Afghanistan. He said, I have a game and I would play it when I was away with the guys, but I don't have the guys here. So I have to teach my 2 daughters to play it with me. And then my dad taught me and my little sister how to play Halo so that we could all play together. And honestly, it was so fun. It was so fun. And I was the only kid we had a huge neighborhood full of kids, and I was the only one with Halo at the time. So they would all come over so that I could practice getting good at it.
That's actually pretty cool. That's a good story.
My go-to move would be to move really slowly so that no one could see me on their maps, on their little heat maps, and I would stick a frag grenade to the back of people's helmets. That was my go-to move.
Good strategy there.
Yeah, thank you. So that's my story about the Xbox, and I don't think I've really touched an Xbox since. I think I played Halo 2, but that was it. That was my story with it. So
yeah. Well, anyway, that's the report.
Great.
Moon update.
Moon update. We that's a new segment. And when I talked about this on launch week, we had a segment where people just asked me questions, which rAVe TV was supposed to play, but it wasn't doing that. So I was like, well, everyone just ask me questions for 20 minutes and I'll answer them. And they did. And one of the questions was tell me what Gary was talking about with the moon. And I was trying to tell everyone, I was trying to summarize what you said, but I didn't do a very good job. So I was like, go watch the full episode. He talks a lot about it. He does a good job, better than me. So yeah, I thought the people wanted another moon update. They liked that. And for next launch week, Gary, they want another session where you and I just come and they ask us questions.
Yeah, that's fine. I like doing that. Well, look, I got to go. I know you guys got some other stuff to cover.
Yep.
Tim, Steph, thanks for having me on this morning. Have a great rAVe TV.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye,
sir.
Gary.
Bye.
All right, before we jump into the news for the week, just a big reminder, April 2026 Temp Check survey is up and in very NAB fashion. It is all about the AV broadcast convergence. I am interested in seeing if that is affecting you at all, if you are starting to see broadcast protocols in your line of work. So go ahead, fill out those questions. It's only 3 of them. It takes probably like 2 minutes to fill out the whole survey. And as always, we will pick 2 lucky respondents to get a $50 Amazon gift card. So go ahead and do that, and we will let you know who wins by the end of the month. So we're going to continue on here, but before we do that, let's run a quick spot from our sponsor and partner, ViewSonic. Tim and I will be right back. All right, Tim, do you want to do this first piece of news?
I will kick this one off.
Okay.
X2O Media is closing their doors, and
There's no more.
no more. And it's not just about X2O. It is about X2O. A bunch of people are unfortunately losing their jobs, but it's the reasoning behind it. And Stratacache, who owns them, has since 2017, 2018. They bought them from Barco, but Stratacache is a big, ginormous corporation, heavily into digital signage, heavily into the digital experience, and they talk about both the tariffs as well as chip and memory shortages as the reason for closing the doors of X2O Media. That is really coming to play in other parts of the industry. I had an analyst say something to me yesterday or last week where there's not a chip shortage, but the prices are going up. Okay, maybe it's tomato, but the actual overall cost of these things are going up, and so that's going to impact not just the prices that the end users are paying, but also the company's ability to stay in business, quite frankly.
Do you think that the chip problem that is occurring now, do you think it's due to AI? Because AI is needing all of these chips,
Yep.
it's needing all of this memory. It's even affecting the consumer market because if you go and try to buy a hard drive right now,
Yep.
which we did, we needed some hard drives at work, so we went to buy them, and the same hard drive that we've bought in the past year, 6 months, it is double in price now, and it's because all of these companies are pushing and spending all of their money on making sure AI has all of the necessary storage and stuff that it needs. And so there's just less of a focus on consumer and other areas, which means the stuff that is available, the price goes up.
It is, and it's a bit reminiscent of COVID because during COVID, the chip companies that were still operating, they prioritized the chips that they made the most money, which for-profit business absolutely do what you need to do. What happened at that point then, from a AV standpoint, is we were so far down that list, right? The chips that we that make our stuff go are a
Yeah.
lot less expensive than the ones that make a Ford F-150 go, right? So, they were either not making them or they were not making many of them. Same thing here. The memory manufacturers and the chip manufacturers saying, "Hey, I can make a whole lot more money producing this for, data centers, for AI, for processing centers." So that's what we're going to do. Again, for a profit company, they got to do what they got to do. That is impacting everything down the line.
It's so interesting to think about
Yeah.
how everything affects everything. I'm sure there's a book about this, or there will be one
I'm
soon.
certain. Some economist somewhere.
So I found or received this survey that shows 67% of organizations are now using AV over IP. And this is from Audinate, but Audinate did this in collaboration with Future Source Consulting.
Yeah.
Future Source Consulting, you guys probably know them. They're European, but they do a lot of studies on different aspects of our industry, audio, UC, Pro AV. They even do some consumer stuff. But I did find this was interesting because we're seeing, or at least they are seeing, organizations place this greater emphasis on scalability and security and interoperability. Of course, this is like a moderately sized sample size. Like they studied or surveyed 370 end users and 100 integrators. So while this is like, of course they didn't ask everybody, but they asked people in North America, Europe, the Asia Pacific area. So they also asked people in corporate, education, healthcare, media. Like they asked people in all these different segments. So I do think that is relevant, and that does probably, and it is probably accurate, because from what I've hearing, a lot of people have been turning to AV over IP in our industry.
Yeah, and this is anecdotal. I have not done a study like Future Source has, but it feels like higher education is leading the charge on that, especially with putting AV over IP on the actual production land, the actual the college and universities regular network, I guess is the best way to put that, as opposed to 5 years ago they were doing their own private network and then bridging between the two. Today it's putting everything on the same network that the email and the video streaming runs on.
Absolutely. So if you agree, feel free to let us know. If you are not using AV over IP and you don't think that this is representative of what's going on, I also want to know. So feel free to email us and tell us if you agree or don't. So we got some product news. Panasonic has the SQ3 series. This is digital signage. It's for those 24/7 always on applications. So again, 4K LCD. They're perfect for, anywhere where you need a digital signage display to be: retail, corporate, education, anywhere where you need something to monitor. This is part of Mevix.
I don't understand sometimes certain things. This is one of those. I don't understand what Panasonic's doing.
I would love
the product. It's gorgeous. It's 4K. It's all that jazz.
Maybe next time we can
Panasonic.
get someone from Panasonic to come on and explain all the different. I just think I need it explained to me.
Like I'm a 5-year-old, because there are times that I am a 5-year-old, and that's fine.
Yeah. Branding is also just very confusing in our industry. We have sometimes a big umbrella brand, and then there's this guy over here, but most people say this guy over here, but that's not technically accurate. So sometimes I just need someone to tell me what's right. And this might be one of those times. So Panasonic, can you please email us and explain when we should say something is Mevix and when that's not Mevix and it's just Panasonic? That would be super helpful. There was another area of Panasonic too. Do you remember? And they were branding all of their booths as that at ISE and Infocom.
I don't remember.
But I think they got rid of that segment.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do not, but I am.
Yes, Panasonic Connect. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what that is?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, if anyone does, can you tell us? No tea, no shade. Love Panasonic. Great projectors, great displays. I just want to be correct in the way that I refer to them, and I would love some help.
And
in
I would love
doing
to
that.
understand.
And we would love to understand, and we would love to be correct in our reporting moving
Yes.
forward. Okay, we're gonna keep moving on, but before we do, let's check out Crestron's 80 series touchscreens. Oh, great, I'm here. All right, Tim, do you want to do the next story?
Yeah, because we've got a couple different ones for Display
Yes.
Note, and Samsung is the first one. They are incorporating Display Note's montage screen sharing software into a number of Samsung devices. Right now, it's the U.S. education market. I expect that to go wider. Display Note, if you're not familiar, they believe it's an Irish company, and they've got a number of products. They've got partnerships with folks all over the place, and this is really cool. It gives Samsung a leg up on some of their competitors, especially in the market.
Another big one is this was a couple weeks ago, but DisplayNote also added AirPlay touchback to enable like iPad control for these classroom displays, which that's also big because, you know, pretty much everyone knows how to use an Apple device. They are historically very like teacher and like non-technical and user friendly. So I think that that is going to make it very easy for educators to like quickly share their content from their little iPad to the display and get everyone in the classroom to be able to see it. You know, like screen sharing has not historically been super easy. So I think like adding that native AirPlay support is going to be huge for educators.
Yeah, and that has been one of Display Note's strong suits. Their entire existence is the education market and the simplicity, right? Because that is one of the things is educators, at least 15 years ago, they were not all of them were technologists. Today, the vast majority of the faculty have at least grown up with certain types of technology, but the simpler they can make it, the easier it is for the instructor.
Absolutely. So you sent me this next story.
I did.
On Samsung's new micro RGB TVs.
Yep. So this is 100% a consumer product, so don't freak out on me. But mini RGB, my favorite type of technology is plasma. I don't care. It is the most gorgeous picture I've ever seen in my life. OLED is the closest thing I've seen since plasma. I think I drug you to an OLED display at some show not too long ago.
Yes.
Micro RGB might beat OLED to me. And the reason for that is, first of all, it's less expensive to produce. My problem with OLED is it's a gorgeous picture, but nobody's been able to figure out how to monetize it in such a way that it doesn't cost me 20 grand for a 55-inch, right?
Yeah.
Micro RGB is a really, really good competitor to the OLED picture, and they figured out how to make it at scale at not an exorbitant amount of money.
Yes, because this starts at 1600 for 55-inch,
Yep.
which is pretty normal in the consumer market. I actually don't really know. I haven't bought a TV in a few years. Have you?
2 or 3 years ago, and
Okay.
and so I mean, it depends on the brand, right? And but you can run to Walmart or Best Buy and pick up, a 55, 65 inch for $500. But it's a backlit LCD, right? You start getting into the micro LEDs, you start getting into the mini RGBs. Those are going to crest $1,000 pretty easily.
Yep.
So yeah, this is really in line with the other competitors that are also producing mini RGBs.
Yes. What TV do you have in your house?
I have a Samsung actually.
Me too.
Yeah.
Mine, I have a Samsung frame, it's either a 2020 model or a 2021 model, but I love it. I will probably have a Samsung frame for the rest of my life. I think that is my favorite product that they make. I know that there are other options out there. Like I love that Leon Speakers can make a rig that is essentially a frame for any type of TV that you want, but the Samsung frame is my girl. But I'm sad that I bought it before they came out with the matte version, because now I wish that I had the matte version so that like the glare doesn't affect it. And I like that it looks like something cool even when it's off.
Yeah, that is the nice thing about those TVs. Is the fact that you can becomes part of your decor.
But now you can download software, or they make like a box that you can buy that does it to a regular TV now too. But I don't know how well that works. The only thing, my only qualm with the Samsung frame, my only problem with it is that it does not come with an in-wall rated cable. And the whole thing about it,
Okay.
the whole thing about it is that it is supposed to look like art on your wall. The box that controls the TV is separate from it. So it is made so that the cable runs behind your wall, but the cable it comes with is not the in-wall rated one. You have to buy that.
That seems short-sighted.
That kind of pisses me off.
Yeah.
So Samsung, maybe change that, but other than that, love your product. love that TV. Love the micro RGB TV. But maybe would love if the Samsung frame could come with the in-wall rated cable rather than you having to purchase that separately. Because I already spent over $1,000 for your little TV. I already spent the $100 to $200 for the frame to go on the TV, because that doesn't come with it either. And now you're telling me I have to spend $300 more for the in-wall rated cable to go with my in-wall TV?
No.
No. So that's my only qualm. Okay, we're going to be right back. Let's go to the Samsung commercial.
All
Understanding, it's what we're all after. In lectures where ideas ignite. In teamwork, uniting people and perspectives. In everything, we strive to understand clearly. Connect deeply, because when we collaborate better, we dream bigger. And when we dream bigger, we can change the world.
Okay, yes. Big shout out Shure, to our last sponsor and partner of rAVe TV. Love them. Love Crestron. Love VSonic. Thank you to them.
Yeah.
One more story here. Nureva has their HDX audio tour coming up, and this is going to be across Europe and also North America. I'm bringing this up because not only do they want integrators to attend, they also want technical end users to attend too. So it begins today in Zurich. And it's going to continue through June. They've got Paris, London, Manchester, Munich, Cologne, Las Vegas, but then also they're going to be popping around Canada later this year, and I'm assuming coming to America again, other than Las Vegas. I assume that they're going to
I would assume that,
come around to the East Coast, the Midwest too, Tim, not to leave out the Midwest, even though I don't consider y'all like that West. Y'all are like,
we're west of you.
Yeah, west of me, but like slight west. No, not quite Midwest.
Let's not get into the conversation about what exactly is the Midwest. You'll have people from Colorado yelling at me.
That's so true. That's so true. But yeah, so definitely check out if you want to look at if there's going to be a new Nureva stop near you. You can check out this story on Buyers Club. I'm assuming, Tim, do you have a version of this
Yep.
on AV Nation? You can check that out there too, or you can go straight to Nureva's website. Okay, final thing that we want to talk about. Let's talk about the launch event coming up with Shure, because we mentioned they are a big sponsor and partner of rAVe TV. They're also doing kind of this with us, and this is kind of about the IntelliMix Bar Pro, but not only like, hey, look, Shure does video. Like we talked about that at ISC, we covered that already. This is about how this product fits into the entire meeting room experience and the entire IntelliMix ecosystem. So you're going to kind of look at the shift from this device-based design, how things used to be, and kind of shifting to that system-level thinking and how this is how meeting rooms are built now. So, Tim, you're going to be on it, and I think, is it Tyler who's going to be on it with you?
Yep. Tyler will be on it with us, and you know, the one thing here is the features of this device will do exactly what Steph says. It'll change how you design the room. It'll change how you use the room. And that's really what this is about, is taking a new, fresh look at how you have deployed conference rooms in the past. Because if you're just going to look at this as, oh, it's a video bar, okay, cool, I know what to do there. Not exactly. This is a bit different, not from the ground up. And you know, you and I have sat in a briefing with Shure at ISC. You know, they took a lot of time to illustrate the fact that, look, we didn't just go out and grab parts and pieces. We've been doing this. I want to say they said for 10 years they've been developing this product. And the whole idea here is you've got the audio components of the MXA series. So you've got that, all of the smarts in there. And then they said, okay, let's take that and then let's take some really high-end video, take some really smart folks on the processing side. So it really is a different take on video bars.
Absolutely. So definitely attend. It is going to be April 29th at 2 p.m. Eastern. And you can find out more and you can go ahead and register at lavnch.com.
Yep.
And we will see you there. Tim, it's been a pleasure.
Always.
I'll see you, Saturday?
I'll see you Saturday, yes, in Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas. The usual meetup spot.
That is actually true, at this point. Because the last time we saw each other was in Las Vegas.
It's Las Vegas. And then after that, the next time we're going to see each other is Las Vegas.
We'll be in Las Vegas.
So, all right. See you Saturday. And check out our NAB coverage coming to you live, both on AV Nation's site. And also you can go to rAVe Pubs for NAB coverage as well. And yeah, and if you're going to be in Las Vegas, come say hi to us. So, all right, everybody. This is our latest episode of rAVe TV, and we will see you next week.
It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary.